We will open the planning board meeting for June 27th, 2023. It is being conducted in a hybrid manner pursuant to the general laws. If anybody is recording, that is fine. You just need to let us know. Anyone? Okay, we will be recording this and putting it online for everyone to view and listen to. 7 o'clock, town planners report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Planning board members, in your folder, we are in receipt of a letter forwarded by the select board, submitted to them by a number of homeowners within the Noblestein Crossing subdivision. If you'll give me the latitude to summarize, there are some concerns with the homeowners in the neighborhood about the pace of progress, about certain items that remain unfinished, and inquiring as to whether or not the town has the opportunity to apply any pressure. As I think we're all aware, there is still a performance bond in place for remaining elements of infrastructure at the subdivision. It is operating under a valid special permit. There are, if I can liberally use the term housekeeping, there is a housekeeping item related to conservation approval of the final wetland crossing that completes the loop road with a culvert that impacts wetland out there. That housekeeping item essentially is a legal step to monument and have the conservation restrictions to be put on record with the state. That remains outstanding. Aside from that piece, I did speak with Randy Brown this afternoon, who mentioned that over the past few weeks there at least has been incoming information from Jesse Saltmarsh, acting as the developer out there, indicating that when he would be resuming certain activities, some of which are likely reflected in the items in this letter. Having said that much, I should take a walk through the permit that was originally issued for that subdivision, and just identify if there are any junctures at which action could be taken by the town to compel performance at this state when the contractor is engaged with the project at whatever level. But I think there's a little review in my end, and I'll certainly take any notes from you when you have the opportunity to read that correspondence. Okay. Just as an aside, and to prime Mr. Spina for part of the discussion, I met with Kenneth Tomia from PVPC last week, who stopped by to address, there's a contract extension that was just signed last night, discuss forthcoming invoicing for the master plan effort, then also to talk about the second phase, which not only includes the entirety of the remainder of work for the master plan, but there are also funds available for implementation, or at least strategies, some of which may overlap with our planning board work. So just mention as a kind of a placeholder. We'll dig into that when we get to the master plan, that's maybe update. I participated in a brief discussion yesterday regarding Sodom Mountain Campground, where the owners are contemplating expanding the facility to some degree. To that end, it looks like we'll be setting up a department roundtable here in town to identify what the critical path would be, what concerns may arise amongst the town department members, in particular call it public safety for access, understanding that the property of that site is challenging, to say the least. So that's coming down the road, and I imagine we'll have more to discuss come the July meeting. At the last meeting, we had a brief discussion about mixed-use, commercial and residential in the business restricted zone, specifically as related to a parcel on College Highway. Excuse me?
Country.
Country, that's the way the country out, right? Where there's a residence on the site that has, the residential use has lapsed. So with the board's advisement, I engaged town council to dig a little bit deeper into this. I'll first note that town council had some concern about specific language about residential use within that BR zone. Because I believe it says, well, let me truncate the discussion. We can go into greater detail another time. But as it relates to, well, what type of residences would be allowed in this mixed use district? One way to read it is very broadly. Another way is very narrow, so narrow as down to 2-family homes. It is sometimes challenging to follow the arc of Attorney Bedwin, but that's what it was. In my, so I took that piece of information, slowed it in the back because the planning board has interpreted more along the lines of, oh, different arrangements of residences mixed with commercial uses in the very recent past, the past several years. So having said that much, that was obstacle number one. Obstacle number two related to the fact that although access is part of a common drive shared with the Wilderness Experiences property to the north, reestablishing that use really didn't satisfy the intention of the bylaw to segregate the residential traffic from the commercial traffic. And at least per GIS mapping, if we zoom in and take a closer look, there's a portion of that shared driveway that lies on the subject property. So you're not truly taking your full access off the property in two separate fashions where it may be handled in whatever shape, way, or form. At least by GIS, it looks like there's a portion of the driveway on both the Wilderness Experiences property as well as the subject property we're discussing. So that particular item right there probably throws a more definitive roadblock to reestablishing residential use of that property. I wanted to share that with everyone. Okay. I spoke with an Emma Riley from Mission Clean Energy about battery energy storage system facility contemplated for 120 College Highway, across the street from the substation. Essentially, we're talking about a similar technology to what was proposed at the Hudson Drive Solar Facility, where they have essentially a unit to absorb power when they're not within those peak times when they have an access to power, and then distribute it when the times are more favorable. However, as with many other things in our bylaw, that's not an allowed use in that district. We have, so this, to be fair, we're talking about containers or structures of some sort that house these battery energy storage units. So I sat down with the building inspector. It doesn't cleanly fit into the definition of, we'll call it energy producers, energy distribution. I'm going to say the definition is more closely aligned with those that actually produce and distribute, such as Eversource, in our district, not a commercial entity that's doing business with them. So as such, and with building inspector's advice, I responded to them, let them know that the way our bylaws are written right now, that use would be prohibited in Southwick. So they then went on the road of, well, what does it take to change things? And I went explain the process of what has to happen from really within. All right, that's enough to report for today.
John?
All right, 7:05, public comment. Does anybody have anything for the board tonight that they wish to bring to our attention that is not on the agenda?
Mike, Vice Chairman.
For the old guy in the back of the room, the hearing impaired, I didn't hear a word you said. I know it was interesting. I would really like to hear some microphones, man.
I appreciate your generosity and thinking it's interesting. Wish you'd spoken up sooner. I will endeavor to try harder to speak louder. Thank you.
I hear you do the truck, you want to borrow one?
Yeah. That either.
All right, any other public comments?
Hey, no, wait a minute.
All right. 7:10, 686 College Highway, continued public hearing.
Did Randy stand up online or is that just?
That's just a mouse.
All right, we have a letter from Donahue. As you may recall, I represent the owner of 686 College Highway, Southwick, with regard to their request for subdivision approval pursuant to Southwick subdivision bylaws. At this time, we would like to formally remove the application for subdivision approval without prejudice. The property in question has been sold, and Indus Realty Trust, the applicant, no longer wishes to proceed with subdivision at this time. Please feel free to contact me with any further questions. All right, so do I hear a motion to accept the withdrawal of that application?
Dave Spina, so moved.
Wait a second.
Richard Ottinger, second.
Roll call vote. Michael Doherty, aye.
Dave Spina, aye.
Dick Hudson, aye.
David Sutton, aye.
Jessica Thornton, aye.
Okay. 7:15, 159 Berkshire Avenue, continued public hearing.
Mr. Hale and I exchanged some correspondence this afternoon. He writes today, say, good afternoon, Mr. Goddard. Please accept this email as a request for continuance for 159 Berkshire Avenue. I'm preparing to send the revised plan specifications to you by email today prior to the start of next meeting. There's some other supporting information, but in essence, we have a continuance request in front of us for that specific item.
Okay. Did I see Derek on there? I did.
Yes.
Derek, have you been able to send that stuff over?
Yes, I was able to send over the revised drawings in a separate email. May have came later.
Okay.
So that would be the part that would be reviewed. Hopefully, in the next week, we can maybe discuss that a little bit further and then have minor iterations, if any, the whole thing turn around by the time of the next meeting.
Yeah, the next meeting's not till July 25th, so you all have time. All right, so do I hear a motion to continue 159 Berkshire Avenue to 7:10 p.m. on July 25th?
Dave Spina, so moved.
Richard Ottinger, second.
Roll call vote. Michael Doherty, aye.
Dave Spina, aye.
Dick Hudson, aye.
David Sutton, aye.
Jessica Thornton, aye.
All right.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Derek.
What's something wrong with where yourself?
Yeah, I have to try to get through the A&Rs and the sign reviews and whatever else before we get to 7:40, so,
Where do you want to dig? Where do you want to start?
let's just go in order. We'll do the A&Rs.
7:30? What's the 30?
Something's leaving at 8 o'clock no matter what, so we got to just,
Take full advantage of this.
we set the stage. Now that we finish one at 8 o'clock, he's leaving.
I did?
All right, yes, okay, let's go through the A&R.
Sure. Okay, what do we put first? 134, 130. One thing on the screen.
This is right across from the, okay, North Pond is over here. The state agriculture business here. Look, the trailer also sits up in the back.
Okay, the A&R before us is for 134 and 136, South Long Yard Road. See? Described as lots 1 and 2 on this plan.
In the game area.
Lot 2 is a permitted estate lot, and the proposal under this A&R is to transfer land from Lot 1 to Lot 2. So the reestablishment of the property line and the boundary for Lot 1 with adequate frontage and area. No violation of required setbacks at the new property line, and the remaining acreage transferred over to Lot 2.
It's too easy, Johnson, bro.
I think same thing in the compact on that.
If I know that.
Any questions from the board?
Nope. I'm doing it.
My phone, all right.
Oh, nice. I took it all away. Thank you.
Do I hear a motion to endorse the A&R plan for 134 and 136 South Long Yard Road?
Dave Spina, so moved.
Dick Hudson, a second.
Do a roll call vote, Michael Doherty, aye.
Dave Spina, aye.
Dick Hudson, aye.
David Sutton, aye.
Jessica Thornton, aye.
All right, that is all set.
All right, the next A&R is also a land transfer. Let me just get this going here. Okay, so we're looking at, well, on the left side of the plan in front of you, we have existing grass rail facility. As you recall, this is divided up amongst a number of lots to the rear that have been developed to single-family homes. And so the plan you see before you today transfers rear acreage of the grass rail facility over to the D Benedetto parcel.
So just explain it as it looks on this. So what?
So what we see, okay, so the house shown in darker hatch tone on the right side of the plan
Yep,
will have the land shown in the middle, described as parcel H, transferred over to it, purchased from the grass rail facility, or transfer, I should say. Purchase is probably a generous term, don't know the parameters.
all right. Any questions, comments from the board? Okay. Do I hear a motion to endorse the A&R plan for 90 Point Grove Road and 7 Lakeview Street?
Dave Spina, so moved.
Rich Hudson, a second.
Do a roll call vote, Michael Doherty, aye.
Dave Spina, aye.
Dick Hudson, aye.
David Sutton, aye.
Jessica Thornton, aye.
All right.
Okay.
trees do too.
All of them. As many as I can. All right, let's see me finish this one. Oh, okay, we're up and running. Okay, so the NRC before us now is at 8 Concord Road. Within just the past couple of months, we saw this same site submitted on behalf of Chester Saborski. And that established the lot you see at the bottom of the plan along Tannery Road as a separate lot. You may recall that diagrammatically, at least on that plan, a triangular piece of shape behind the land of Peter Amblakis was shown as something referred to as conceptual or not part of the A&R at that time. So the differences we see here is a revised perimeter to that frontage lot along Tannery Road, as well as the full definition of the parcel A to be transferred to the land of Mr. Amblakis.
So he is officially converting it over to the 8 Concord, right? Or
Yes, I mean, just in as many ways that was the lot for, was just as official before, but there must be some correction here for some motivation, unbeknownst to me. But regardless, we have frontage and adequate access and adequate area.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the board? Do I hear a motion to endorse the A&R plan for 8 Concord Road?
Dave Spina, so moved.
Dick Hudson, second.
Roll call vote, Michael Doherty, aye.
Dave Spina, aye.
Dick Hudson, aye.
David Sutton, aye.
Jessica Horton, aye.
I still need.
This one's being continued.
Where to next, Mr. Chair?
Why don't we hit the sign
Sure.
application?
I'll take just a moment to bring it up.
50 more, no more 50 more. I might have to do 50 more.
Getting more chairs.
Where's this thing?
Okay.
Yep. Folder here, John's.
Yes.
Just 50 motors all my life, you wanna change things?
Sometimes it's hard when you know a certain landmark by a name or architectural feature, whatever, to see that change is difficult. But we are indeed looking at the former Christie Motors building here on College Highway. Would you minimize that, the Zoom? Thank you.
And Dick, I have no doubt that you'll continue to refer to it as Christie Motors for the rest
Absolutely.
of your natural life.
The proposal is to construct a freestanding sign. The same general location as the one that was there before. This is going to be roughly 11 feet in overall height and 30 square feet in sign area between those, the two components described on the plan. It will not be lit, and we're looking at vinyl faces for the signs. Okay, so we are, the maximum for that district is 50 square feet for freestanding sign, and maximum of 18 feet from the grade. And we are at 11.
Are you back far enough not to cause any obstruction from people pulling up in this?
That's correct.
Any questions or comments from the board?
Just one comment. I think Steve's here. Your business?
Yes.
I just want to tell you, driving by that place, it looks outstanding. Did a remarkable job rehabbing that building.
I tried, wanted to bring some love into it, needed it.
Well, you succeeded. Thank you.
All right.
For recommendation.
Do I hear a motion for a positive recommendation for the sign proposed at 529 College Highway?
Dave Spina, so moved.
Dick Hudson, second.
Roll call vote, Michael Doherty, aye.
Dave Spina, aye.
Dick Utzinger, aye.
David Sutton, aye.
Jessica Thornton, aye.
Okay. Got seats of honor right up here if you guys want them.
Better target practice.
All right. Six,
What was his first name? What was his first name?
there's, yeah, 6:30, 7:30, 662A, College Highway, continued public hearing.
Continuous request.
Okay. Email from this afternoon, Jim and our team would like to request a continuation of this public hearing in order to continue addressing some concerns raised by the Conservation Commission that may have a significant impact on the proposed design. And that's from Chris Chamberlain. What I hear, that accurately sums up the meeting the other night. All right, do I hear a motion to continue 662A to $7:15 on 7/25?
Dave Spina, so moved.
Dick Utzinger, second.
Do a roll call vote, Michael Doherty, aye.
Dave Spina, aye.
Dick Utzinger, aye.
David Sutton, aye.
Jessica Thornton, aye.
Okay.
You just have to know if you should see if it's got to be.
Maybe the meeting to the auditorium, or maybe the high school.
Just gotta get to that item, get right.
Yeah, all right, I'm not gonna hit the discussion stuff because that's not gonna take 10 minutes unless you guys think it is. I'm not sure either of those is gonna take 10 minutes. And that's not fair.
I can't remember.
2:20. So why don't we do the master plan advisory committee update?
So, since our last meeting, we had a working group session at the last impact meeting where we kind of divided up all the various chapters, got materials out to those sub-teams. They went through and worked on crafting individual visions for those individual chapters that rolled up to the main vision, as well as doing some basic editing of the chapters. That's still a work in progress. There's going to be another working session at our next impact meeting on July 6th. The other thing that occurred was we had our second Did We Hear You session at the Brass Rail. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend, so I don't know. I saw a couple of pictures. Looks like it was well attended, but I don't have any direct report out from that yet.
I think that's reasonably accurate. Let's dig in for a moment to Mr. Comilla's thoughts moving forward. So the first piece, we'll talk about the housing production plan. That too is a work in progress. At this time, they have had their public outreach component. A lot of it parallels some of the master plan work, but there is yet further work to be done. The agreement for the deliverable on that document was extended out to the end of September. And the entity that is going to receive a document, we talked about it briefly, I expect will be the planning board, both as, we'll call it the driving force behind the work that's being done, and also understanding that we'll call it the involvement of the housing authority is mostly focused on the administration of those facilities here in town. So the presumption, anyone is welcome to stop me or correct me if they feel differently, is that the planning board is going to be the right body to receive this document.
From PVPC?
From PVPC.
It's not gonna go through the subcommittee first for review?
The subcommittee meaning the master plan advisory committee?
Okay, sorry.
Oh, that's good, I'm just trying to
Yeah, no, yeah,
be
that's how
clear.
we did phrase it.
I see no reason why it wouldn't, if only for, we'll call it the span of time, when that document will be submitted and reviewed, and also understand that the master plan advisory committee is starting to draw to a close. It's primary function.
It just strikes me that before it comes to us, I should probably have eyeballs on it from the advisory committee, just to, confirm that there's no other tweaks or whatever else that need to be done through it, and then it come to us as a
A finished document, or at least one that's been vetted, some of the paper shown. That makes sense to me. The master plan advisory committee, having had their feet on the ground, the ear a little bit closer to the rail for the production of this document, it would make sense.
Yeah, and that would be my inclination, but, and I don't know how those meetings are gonna fall, so it can make very well just be, especially with our summer schedule, that, no, I guess it's just gonna be until later, but, it may be that it comes out, there's a subcommittee or advisory committee meeting, and we review them, and then there's a planning board, so it may very well fit with the timeline of meetings.
Okay.
So I think I would feel better if that was just vetted and then sent to us.
Okay.
If that's okay, if it's not gonna cause too much of a procedural problem.
Makes sense to me.
That's right, I'll bring that back to Mr. Comey and make sure he understands that's the arc that we're anticipating
Okay.
for that document. Why don't I bring up chapter 315 while we're at it?
Okay.
So the bigger tasks that we envisioned, I think, as a group, when looking at chapter 315, included some of the green infrastructure discussions that I had on behalf of DPW with you over the past year, and alignment with open space, our flexible residential development, open space subdivision bylaw, and eliminating a few gaps and perhaps impasses that are written into the regulations, amongst a few other items. But those two right there align fairly well with some of the targeted goals that are coming out of the master plan process. So for the sake of discussion and looking towards the remainder of funds, we have roughly another year of engagement with PVPC under the remainder of, we'll call it phase 2. We have an opportunity to engage them, to look a little bit more closely at our subdivision regulations and come up with recommended changes. If that's the right group to engage, great opportunity to take advantage of it. I just thought I'd take the temperature of the board members before I got back to Mr. Comey to see, how quite precisely he saw this aligning with the remainder of phase 2 work.
Yeah, why don't you, my inclination would be to, I think that's probably a good idea, but why don't we, it's not gonna happen in the next couple meetings, so why don't we put a pin on it and keep it on the discussions or business or something, and then come back to it, maybe potentially at the next meeting, I suppose. Either that or in August.
Okay.
Put it on there, and then we can decide whether we want to deal with it next meeting.
Okay.
But some people can think about it, but my inclination is that will help us in trying to review and get a lot of different input from a lot of different sides, I suppose, would be, or not the right word, but a lot of different interested parties in trying to revise things.
Okay,
So,
that makes sense. So I will, we'll keep it on our agenda for discussion, and I'll see if I can tease out a little more detail about how this might dovetail with Mr. Comey.
okay.
Make draw it out a little bit.
No, we got the minutes,
Lots of
and
sign.
we are good to go. So everybody take a look at the May 23rd minutes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Any changes that we need to make now, or are they all made?
All good.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes from May 23rd, 2023?
Dave Spina, so moved.
Dick Singer, second.
Do a roll call vote. Michael Doherty, aye.
Dave Spina, aye.
Dick Singer, aye.
David Sutton, aye.
Jessica Thornton, aye.
Okay. So that is all set. Minutes from June 6th. Everybody have a chance to go through those? Okay. Any changes that we need to make with the document as it exists currently? Okay. Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes from June 6th of 2023?
Dave Spina, so moved.
Take that thing a second.
Do a roll call vote, Michael Doherty, aye.
Dave Spina, aye.
Take that thing.
David Sonai.
Jessica Thornton, aye.
All right, that's all set. Huh? Okay. All right. Closer. 740. 220 College Highway, site plan review for proposed building construction at our community food pantry. All right, you have the file for that?
I do. So this is a site plan review application. You have copies of a cover letter submitted by the applicant. I will put up the plans on the screens in just a moment. Let me know if anybody wants to see this passed down. Mr. Deedy, if you give me just one moment, please. Okay.
If any of you folks want to see, I have a couple extra copies, you can pass it around. We will be loud tonight, and it'll be very quiet and shy, I am not. I'll wait till you get permission to talk.
All right. Just give me 1 second, Joe.
Oh, take your time.
Got my whole life ahead of me.
We'll try not to keep you here for the entire year.
They don't want free ice cream, we have to be here till 9 o'clock.
All right, go ahead, Joe.
Folks, how you doing tonight? Right, we got it up? All right, so do you want me to read the letter? How do you want to play the game?
Yeah,
There's
why
going
don't
to
you,
be participation from the audience, just, there's door number 1, there's door number 2, so we're going to have
why
some
don't
fun
you
there.
read the letter and go from there?
All right, thank you. So, dear Southwick Planning Board members, the Southwick Civic Fund is going to expand, you should read this ahead of time, huh? Is going to expand our community food pantry operation by constructing an 1,800 square foot addition. It says in the rear of the existing fellowship hall, it's actually to the left. It's where the driveway comes down now, and you can't make that corner. Food pantry operations will relocate from its existing location on the same property to this addition. By adding onto the existing structure at the side of the fellowship hall, the food pantry will be able to continue to service residents of Southwick and surrounding towns who deal with food insecurity on a regular basis. Our community food pantry has assisted more than 250 families in our area, and the needs are increasing on a quarterly basis. It is important to note 49% of the families served lives on less than $10,000 a year, and 11% of those served are elderly. The expansion will allow the food pantry to offer additional services to residents who are in need. The outpouring of support for this project has been overwhelming and humbling. We have received $150,000 in funding from the Commonwealth to offset the cost of the building, which is much needed. Many companies, contractors, and others have stepped up to help bring this much-needed project to reality. I'm ready to break ground in the summer months when we can. It should take us about 6 months to build, is what we're hoping for. And I have Scott Lehman, my board of directors, Adam Goodall, Ron Deedy, and Stephen, did I get it wrong? Stephen Wazowski, who's the young man that bought Thrifties. So before Rotary or Lions Club grabbed him, I got him. So he's new to our board. So that's pretty much it. The building is the building. I know some of the questions that were brought up, thanks to this young man here, was parking. The parking is gonna be the same. We're not losing any parking spots. Realistically, it's in the driveway that used to loop around, which, like I said before, the side of the building's always hit there, because it doesn't work. So that's where it's gonna go. Lighting, the only lighting we're gonna add is on the actual building, nothing high, nothing crazy. It's literally a warehouse that will have an office, an ADA compliant restroom, and a storage room. Product will come in the back, processed and brought to the front. And we really are just the landlords. The folks in the pantry are here tonight. It's their deal. I was fortunate enough to acquire the property, and I was fortunate enough to get some funding to expand this project, which I think the town desperately needs. The visual appearance, I can promise you, I looked at that road left and right, up and down, it's not gonna look like McDonald's. It's not gonna look like Dunkin' Donuts. It's strictly a warehouse. Siding color will be picked by the food pantry. It will be sided. And that's pretty much it. As far as ADA issues go, the current location is not ADA compliant. This one will be completely. It'll be a small sidewalk on the left side that they're gonna enter in. It'll be one way. There's a service counter. Basically, with COVID, we learned you can't have them pick everything. You have to have it bagged and ready. So this will work great for that experience. And actually, it'll go quicker, because right now, ADA issues, some of the elder folks have to show up. They have to figure out who it is, get them their product, get them to the car. So it should run much smoother, not that there's been any problems. As far as plantings and shrubs go, it's gonna be winter when we're done. So Scott Lehman from Tynick Landscaping will finish that up in the spring. And if you saw what we've done in town lately, I'm not too worried about how it's gonna look. The septic is bad. Tom Fitzgerald is designing a new system to take care of the fellowship hall, the church, and the new facility. Driveway cuts, there's 2 existing cuts, they're gonna stay there. We're not touching anything to do with the highway.
Anything else?
I don't know, we'll find out.
Okay. Let's start first with anything from the board. Any questions or comments from the board?
Joe, just one, it says your
Yes, sir.
survey note that says 41 North Summer Street. What's that have to do with?
The civil engineers will need to reissue your site plan.
40. I don't know. That's great. So Southwick Civic Fund doesn't own 41 North Summer Street, that's for sure. So that might be something to do with the Hamden County Registry of Deeds. So as of right now, just so you're aware, this property is 3 parcels. The Civic Fund apparently bought 2 of them. The third one, Bacon Wilson, Ben Coyle, and the other attorney firm out of Boston is rushing to get that last paper signed. We all thought we were all set. Since we wrote a check for the facility, we didn't do any banking. It never got caught. So here we are. I'm laughing, saying that's why actually, if you look, it should say draft. It doesn't say. I believe it says draft somewhere, but it's all there. We are missing 1 parcel on paper through the Registry of Deeds, which they are working on. 2 of them were owned by the Southwick Methodist Church, and the third one was owned by the Methodist Church of Southwick. So somehow it got missed. So I don't know what this is about, but we'll get that cleaned up as far as
Just curious.
whatever that
It's just
says.
it's just a carryover from the
Yeah,
previous.
from the previous plan.
Yeah.
Yep.
The site that there's confusion about, which parcel is that?
The wrong part. Apparently I own, let's see. This is the church, I own that. Over here is the existing food pantry, I own that. And I believe I own 3/4 of the fellowship hall. So in 1940 or 1904, there was 3 deeds. Our current assessor has 1 deed, 1 parcel. That's what I bought. But as the land surveyor who does his job, figured out, there's a little hiccup in this corner, Mr. Didi. So that is actively being worked on. And my thought process was, we're not doing anything till that's corrected. And then we'll be, we'll bring a fresh set of prints and a fresh set of deeds in front of you. I'm just running into issues with your timing, your schedules, coming into the summer months, and me trying to get something started, which I wouldn't do unless this is all approved.
I'm just trying to think through, right, because.
Yeah, I understand
Is this
it.
the Church Street? This is, yeah. this is-
There's always one attorney in
And
the
then the school comes over here.
Only one?
Well, yeah, only one.
You put this on the back. Yeah, the zipping in the back where the shadows.
Yeah, literally to the left there, yeah. It's 1,800 square feet, 14-foot ceilings. And I'm quite honestly, Andrew Dorsey from Dorsey Construction in town helped me design it. Christopher, is it Carney from Pioneer Land Planning is the one that caught the little hiccup. I got a ton of people donating a ton of stuff, literally to put this together.
Oh, so aerial or?
No, I'm just trying to figure out, right, I mean, to put in an application,
Yep,
you need to own the property, or you have to have the consent of the owner of the property. There's not technically a transfer yet, then you don't.
well, it was.
That's what I'm trying to think through.
It was, trust me.
Joe, we can't hear you.
They're discussing the third parcel. It's a 3-parcel system over there back in the 20s. Want me to write it for you, old man? No, all right. Yeah. So there's 3 parcels. I own 2 out of the 3. There was a glitch with the attorneys, even though we write big checks to attorneys, apparently they're not big enough. So they're currently fixing that as we speak. And the planning board is deciding, well, technically, Joey, you don't own all 3 pieces. You only own 2 out of the 3, which ain't bad in most cases. Not in this case, it has. So what I'm trying to accomplish is not having to come back
But
in
is
3
the
or 4
parcel,
weeks.
is the parcel that you don't own, is that the one that's?
Tracy, we're not gonna discuss that right now. Yes, that is the parcel of all 3 parcels, right? That little sliver is the piece that we're discussing.
But the building that you own is
on part of that parcel.
According to the taxes and everything else, yeah, I own it all.
Mike,
But, when
put in a
and this
decision
this
that
does matter,
requires the-
because you have to own the property on paper.
at this
Yeah,
hour.
no, that's what I'm trying to figure out. I mean, it's,
It's still basically by
I was told
where.
actually not to do this, but I don't listen.
What we do.
Come back with a new site plan anyway.
Yeah. Well, at least it gets into the law.
all right.
It's different, you don't have an angry crowd in front of you.
Give him a minute.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to board comments and questions in 1 second, but Joe, just,
Help you out?
run it through again. So there's 3 parcels. You did,
So there's 3.
purchase and sale for all 3 parcels.
I bought everything, purchase and sale, Southwick
Sign.
Civic Fund, sign, and then you're the lawyer, so you'll get it, $9,000 for title insurance.
That's all, huh?
That's all, because they said, most times churches don't sell a piece of property to Joe Didi. So someone's gonna have a problem with this. And I agreed, because they usually have a problem with me anyways. So everything's fine, we own it, we mow it, we've done everything. We've applied for the tax, to forgo the tax as a
Yep.
nonprofit, everyone's happy. The state's happy giving me $150,000 the way it's set up, but
The deed itself was done incorrectly, is that the problem?
it's gotta be. 2 parcels on that deed are Southwick Civic Fund.
Was there only 1 deed and it combined everything?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so the deed is,
The deed is correct. The young man from Pioneer Land Planning is saying technically this corner didn't get transferred over in that deed. And the reason he said is it's the same words, but they're not in the exact same way, so they didn't catch it. They caught 2 out of 3.
so but it was incorporated in the purchase and sale.
Yes,
It just didn't make its way into the language of the deed,
correct.
and that needs to be corrected.
And it is being corrected as we speak.
Understood.
The diocese is in Europe, and I can only have so much pull.
It may be worth a trip over there, just to,
You'd be surprised. You don't know who you're talking to. Just don't dare me, and we'll be fine.
So, all right, so that helps me put it straight in my head. Any board questions or comments before we open it up? Okay. Any town officials have any questions or comments? Just pay attention on Zoom.
Well, they're on their phones, so they can. Any town officials, I see two in there. Is there any comments from you two folks? Go, put your phones down. We're in the meeting. Well, the respect, right? We're here. This is a big project for the town.
I'm fully in support of that.
Well, thank you.
Yes,
I couldn't hear you. Well, they could hear you.
All right, any public comments?
I have one.
Okay, go right ahead. Just name and address first, please, sir.
Fred Gore, 40 Birchwood Road. I know that I've been doing stories on that place for 30+ years with the Westfield News, the Springfield Republican, and Mass Live. And they are in desperate need of that expansion. I don't know if a lot of you have been in there. A lot of times they work off of metal racks. There's no room. I've covered Boy Scouts when they try and pack food in there, and it's a total nightmare. And I am in full enforcement that hopefully you approve this project, because I think it's desperately needed for Southwick, Towland, and Granville people who also rely on that building. Thank you. I'm done.
All right, any other public comments?
Sorry, so my name is Sally, I'm
Can't hear you.
director of our.
A little louder?
So my name is Sally, I'm the director of our community food pantry, who lives in the building. No, just kidding.
Sit down.
So, and I need to sit down. So I just want to put this out there. So our community food pantry is a non-profit 501c3 organisation who supplies groceries to people in need who live in 3 towns of Granville, Southwick and Towland, never turning away a person in need. We've been in the current location for 13 years, and we're very proud to say we were able to stay fully operational through the pandemic. Ending in 2022 with a 36.48% increase of households visiting the pantry, 2022 versus 21, we realise we are outgrowing our current location. Our building is simply not equipped to handle the volume of food that moves through the building each year, making operations in that space much less efficient than it could possibly be. Southwick Civic Fund proposes to build a building to serve our needs on the property next to us, where we are currently renting. The building will be on a 1 level, which is a huge bonus to us, as right now we're operating in 1,100 square feet house with most of the storage in the basement. Our needs are increasing and our operations are changing daily to keep up with the demands of our clients. We are currently delivering to 35 homes in Southwick and serving over 100 families a week, which means we're providing food to almost 800 people per month. Through the month of May, we have given out over £140,000 of food, which is a 61.14% increase over this time last year. If this building is approved, our community food pantry, hopefully we intend on moving into the location, continuing to rent and pay utilities to the Southwick Civic Fund, and we will continue to run our operations as normal. We really appreciate you giving us the time and hope that you support this project as we look forward to moving into our new home and keeping Mr. Deedy on his toes.
Any other public comments?
Yeah, just one. So I'm Richard Fiore. I worked over at Comark for a number of years until I just retired recently. But every year we would do a food drive and take all this food, truckloads of food over to the community center. And it was pretty much a nightmare trying to figure out where it was all going to go. And it was small then, but I had to congratulate all the people that worked tirelessly over there to deal with, well, idiots like me bringing a bunch of food without any warning. But it was a great camaraderie, and I just think new building would really help them out because it was amazing that you could get all that food into the place. So they're doing a great job. They need some.
All right, any other public comments?
If I made a comment, would it be a conflict of public interest?
No, you can make a comment as a board member.
Or it's John Q. Public?
You can make a comment as, well, you're making a comment as a board member because you're deciding it, but you can comment on it if you're in favor.
Well, I just wanted to throw it into the hat that, you know, I run a food pantry in Agawam, and I have 3,100 square feet. And I cannot figure out how Sally and their crew manage to do what she does. We work together on quite a few occasions. And every time I go over there, I'm just amazed at what you guys can accomplish with no room, no storage, no space. But everybody is in such a great mood, and the people who walk in there are treated with respect and dignity. And I just wanted to share that.
Anything else from the board before we close this up?
Excuse me.
Yes.
In Cornstrom, there's another aspect to this too. It's dangerous working there. Steps that you have to go up and down, the way the product is shoved down the cellar, somebody's got to stop it down there and grab it. It's to get in that place and turn the corner, put the stuff on the scale and move it around. That's a dangerous situation. If there's any doubt in your mind that this needs to go through, consider that.
So Joe, is this gonna be a wood frame building?
Yes, sir.
Will there be ice cream?
Listen. So General Contracting Solutions, which is Stephen in the back, he will be building it. The grace of God is he lives across the street. And he said, it's gotta be perfect. He's not moving, he's living here forever. His wife Shannon Rivers, Brian, one of their guys down at the building have just jumped through hoops for me. Crestview Construction, John and Brian, jumped through hoops. Okay, stop.
Thank you, Chairman.
I know. So I call this kid Alex the Russian. Because I can't say his last name. Some of you know who that is. So it's Alex, how do you want to say that?
He likes the name.
Korupkov, Alex Korupkov, the Russian, Industrial Steel and Boiler Services out of Chicopee. All the HVAC, anything to do with piping, anything to do with bathroom fixtures. Jason Moran from Moore Duck in Town, it's all taken care of. It's crazy. Septic, like I said, Tom Fitzgerald's designing it. Crestview and the boys are gonna install everything. My kid, DD Electric, Adam Goodall, taking care of all the electrical. So it truly, truly is a Southwick built building. And yes, 2x6 construction.
All right. Yeah, give me 1 second, Joe.
We got 58 minutes.
No, Sutton's already getting upset. Sutton's getting a little, see, it's already past 8.
Oh, I got you.
Okay. So on the condition, that the technical error on the deed gets corrected.
Yep,
And we'll probably keep it on for the next meeting, if you could just report back to Mr. Goddard.
Absolutely.
Just to follow up on that, to ensure that that's met. But with that condition, do I hear a motion from the planning board finding that the site plan is in conformity with the zoning bylaws and is recommended by the planning board?
Dave Spina, so moved.
Rich Hunsinger, second.
We will do a roll call vote. Michael Doherty, aye.
Dave Spina, aye.
Dick Hunsinger, aye.
David Sutton, aye.
Jessica Thornton, aye.
Okay. So that is all set.
we're all set. So I need to bring back the corrected deed.
Just,
No, absolutely, I get it. So you have it.
Yep.
Right? And then when can I start, once that's resolved, correct?
you can,
Is there a grace period?
so this is not a special permit, so you don't have there's not a 20-day appeal period. So once that condition is met,
Right.
in my mind, that that's satisfied. So,
Right.
all right.
Stephen, order the wood.
Greg, thank you for putting this all together.
What's that?
I said, thank you for putting this all together. Takes a leader, man.
Thank you folks for coming tonight, I appreciate it.
That's what you get.
Everybody gonna leave us?
You ready for the Sutton Cove commitment? We're going for ice cream. We're not done yet.
Oh, hey,
I like meetings like this.
hey, it's a buddy.
Oh, screw that.
Give it a minute. Do you have anything?
Folks, they gotta continue their meetings, if we can exit, that wanna exit, they would really appreciate it.
Let's save you some more time.
Reference information.
Nothing but.
Andy's here for long.
He's used to waiting around for tow trucks and things.
Yeah.
Aren't you used to waiting around for like tow trucks and things?
All right. Discussion, 141 Congamon Road, request for temporary reconfiguration of lease and transient boat sales.
Is Doug finished?
I saw Ken.
He's on, yep.
Yep. All right. Were you bringing something up, or are you not?
I just have a plan available for you to
Okay,
look
that's
at,
fine.
or the previous decision, or the current decision.
Yeah, that, do you have a hard copy of that, or is it just, no, you don't need it. All right.
Not a thing.
Ken, why don't you tell us what you're looking for, or what the request is, and we'll go from there.
I was gonna say, we had this answered by the state.
You gotta unmute yourself.
Hey, very much. Hardback says it's never gonna be an agriculture. I'm talking to you because we're this.
Getting closer.
Hey, Mike,
Yeah.
can we, are these in a certain order, or they just happen to be printed that way?
What?
Can you flip them? Do the dwelling first?
He's got the guy on the screen right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, if we're having technical issues, well,
Who takes the most time?
well, this is, I don't think it's gonna take it. Ken, we can't, you're still on mute, and we can't hear you. If you can unmute. Can you do that?
I'm working on it.
When you're on a phone,
Yeah, just,
sometimes it's hard. It flips.
Just go to that, this guy here, and do the request that he unmute, or no, you can't do anything.
I mean, you can't flip them?
I've matched it a bunch of times, we'll see.
That's the main one, right?
This,
That's the main one. Can you just request that he unmute?
yeah, I tried
So
a
that-
couple different ways. We give
Oh,
it a
did you?
shot.
All right.
I can get more aggressive.
All right, why don't we, who's talking about the second one?
Ken, can we ask him to disconnect and reconnect? Or
Yeah.
then we can, while we pick up the other conversation?
So Ken, why don't you just disconnect, sign back in, we'll touch the second one first, and then we'll come back to you. All right, two-family dwelling requirements under 18512, residence zone R40, requested by R. Levesque Associates, Inc. All right. Good evening, how are you?
Doing well.
If you could just identify yourself.
My name's Lou Borelli,
Okay.
and we're looking to put a duplex up on Nicholson Hill Road.
Okay.
And we meet all requirements except for on the septic system. We're looking to put in 2 tanks and 1 leach field.
What's the Board of Health say about that?
They'll go along with it.
John?
I'll take care of Ken, hold on a second. So I'm sharing a copy of the plan, this concept that our Levesque Associates shared for Mr. Borelli's project. If I may add a little texture?
Yep, please.
The language in the R40 district bylaw
What's the address again? What's the address?
says that approved separate water and sewage systems are required. So the concept shown here, just trying to see if it, oh, I see, it does, so it shows 2 separate,
26 and 24, we had combined the lots.
2 separate well locations, 2 separate septic tanks that then feed into a common line to a common soil absorption system or septic field.
So there's even septic tank, 2 separate tanks?
There's
It's
2
just
holding
one-
tanks that'll be
just
separate.
one leach field.
And 1 leach field.
And is that because of the lot configuration, or is it
It's
because?
either keep a pump, so we don't have to put a pump system in for the other one. And basically, while I retire, I'll be gone 6 months a year, and somebody will be using it, the leach field.
All right. You didn't talk to Mark about this, right? Or did you?
I have not spoken with legal about this just yet. As I see it, I think Mr. Crowley being accurate about what we're depicting here. We do have a fairly steady and reasonably significant drop from west to east at this property. We see in the plan, we've got several wetland areas delineated. So I think, and if I'm interpreting correctly, we've got 2 pockets available for soil absorption systems. The concern is that one of them lies quite close to about the highest portions of the property.
Correct.
To the west. So that
It's just
obviously
gonna
adds.
sink anyway.
I'm sorry, what's
It's
that?
gonna go down anyway.
So obviously that requires some sophistication in construction and implementation. And so the request is, or rather the suggestion is to go with a, I call it a simpler from a technological standpoint approach. And see if that is allowable.
Means it was approved by the Board of Health.
So here's the issue. Approved is not so much the problem as it is, under our bylaws, it says that you have to have approved separate water and sewage systems. It says approved separate and water sewage systems are required for a 2-family dwelling. So approved seems to be satisfied, arguably. whatever that means, but Board of Health is saying it's okay since we approved. The problem becomes with the word separate.
Well, it's two separate holding tanks.
Can I ask a building, just general, while Mr. Birdie thinks about, nowadays, if you were to build next, outside of our bylaws rules here, most two-family homes, do they have two complete separate sewer line hookups to town sewers? As somebody who's a little bit more, I'd say probably
If I were to imagine some of the, we call it the condominium communities, trying to be more multi-unit, but still smaller building. In many cases, they would have a single sewer service.
sewer line connecting to the main sewer. So. My question, because if this was, we were talking about a parcel that was in the R40 that happened to be connected to town sewer, I would say, really, we're gonna require two separate complete lines to the town sewer line usually? You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand that within the household, you wanna keep your water line separate. Obviously, you have a certain degree of separation in your output, but I just find it a strange request. And I see that it was last amended in 1978, so.
Isn't this house you're gonna live in?
Yes.
They have separate
Well,
tanks.
one of them,
Half of it.
going to live in half of it, rent half. When I retire, I plan on being able to go back and forth to Florida.
I do that now, it works really well.
That's what I'm going on.
Getting back to the tank, there's still got separate holding tanks, and they're sharing just a bunch of ground that would have been side by side anyway.
So, again, I'm not sure I have a problem with it from a
I mean, it's gonna be designed
construction
for
standpoint. I mean,
two units.
I don't, if the Board of Health is okay with it, I don't have a reason or ability to say that it's not appropriate, right? I mean, they're the ones who are gonna be saying whether it's appropriate or not. My only issue is trying to figure out the way to deal with it with the language of the bylaw, right? I mean, that's the only thing that because that does constrict us. My inclination is to sort of say that we can read it to suggest that it's the holding tanks that are really the issue that this is seeking to address as separate holding tanks when saying they want separate systems.
Yeah.
And you can, once it gets past that point, you can have a combined system. The only thing I would say is I probably would want to just at least run that concept by town council and make sure that they're not going to say to us, there's no way you can read that in there. That's the only thing that I would want to just make sure, but otherwise, at least my opinion from the board standpoint would be, I don't really have a problem with it. I think we can read that in that language, I mean, I think
And this
separate
isn't
water
a
and
special
sewers.
permit either where we can, this is just, is it a special permit for this?
No, this
No.
would be site plan review.
Correct. So I just would want to make sure, right, under site plan review, you need to, as we just did, show that it complies with all the bylaws. So I would just want to make sure that we have justification on that so that it doesn't come back to bite us later on.
Well, every family living in both houses, you're gonna just rent out half to
Well,
whatever.
in the beginning, it's gonna be the
My
two of
mom.
us and her mom on the other side.
All right, so,
Bless you.
Yeah,
It's
it's the best thing to do.
I'm gonna be dividing that building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you live on one
I
side
I
and
would
she and your
hope
mother,
that
she and your
town
mother on the
council
other
would be
side.
able
No,
to
yeah,
look
that's gonna be.
at this
That could
and
work
see the
too.
logic between the two separate systems and if he has any hesitation or concern about it, that we highlight this as something that we need to modify ASAP, as we are a town and as a whole, I think as a board, are looking to encourage this sort of development, and I would hate to see something this silly put a hindrance on it.
Yeah, so I don't, I mean, did you have a construction schedule that you were looking at?
We want to get going as soon as we get through all the paperwork.
Okay. So I would say, I mean, I don't think having town council look at it is gonna delay it in any way, because this is on just for discussion. There's still gonna have to be a site
The
plan
last one,
review.
they just put it in the decision.
No, but this is gonna have to, so there's gonna have to be
Town's falling apart.
an application for a site plan review put in to look at this, right? This is just the discussion part of it. There's gonna have to actually be an application to get approval for the.
Well, they've got, I don't know what the applications we put in before today were.
There's gonna have, we don't have an application.
No, and I think it's fair to say that this is a concept right here. It looks like, when we start seeing grades and, you know, components, this looks fleshed out, but you haven't done a septic plan submittal. Right?
No, we haven't done a septic plan yet.
Conservation, I don't think this has gone forward. We're called one of the
the
gatekeepers to this concept right now.
So, you know, what I'm, in my head, where I'm going is, you still have a bunch of steps to get through the process, to get through the paperwork and the permits and everything. Our next meeting isn't until July 25th. I suspect we can get an opinion from town council reasonably quickly on this, just make sure we're on the same page. It can be communicated to you, and then, you know, you can go whatever direction you need to go from that point in time. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to delay you in any way, shape, or form to get that opinion, and then we can kind of.
No, it won't delay, still gotta go to the conservation yet.
Correct, which, yeah, it takes some time, so, all right, so that would be my, you know, like I said, I don't, and it doesn't sound like anybody on the board has any issue with it. I just, you know, I do, when you start to get on those lines, I just want to make sure the town council is giving us the stamp of approval that our interpretation there is appropriate.
Okay.
You know, I suspect it will be, but I just want to make sure. All right?
Okay.
So we'll communicate that to you, that you have his contact info, and we'll communicate that to you, and you can go from there.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
You enjoy married life.
Thanks. We joined it in.
What about Florida?
All right.
I got a place outside of Clearwater, Indian Shores.
Okay, I'm in Bradenton,
Oh, you're not far at all.
A little ways away.
Yeah.
Southwest, non-stop from Bradley campus, Southwest.
See,
Yeah.
okay.
Southwest.
Have family in Bradenton.
Had a little time,
Yep.
about taking 2 years.
I feel like you didn't just for sport.
All right. Ken, we didn't make any jokes about how you unmute is the better way, that we like seeing you, but,
I couldn't get it on my cell phone, unmuted. It kept saying that you needed to, the leader or whatever you're called over there. So anyway, I had to get to an iPad.
all right, so.
Thank you. Sorry for the delay. Thank you for your patience.
Request for the temporary reconfiguration of the leased and transient boat slips. So I'll let you tell us what you're looking for, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, well, as a little history, you know that you approved up to 20 transient docks on the left side, up to 20 rental slips on the right side. The water level of the lake is much lower this year than was determined by our Levesque Associates. And in 30 feet out from the shoreline, I was supposed to be looking at about 3 to 5 feet at the first docks. I'm presently looking at about 8 inches. And as a result of that, the first 2 fingers, which means the first 4 slips, are unusable at this time. I'm asking for permission, since the transient docks are in the water, and it doesn't appear that they will be used anytime soon, maybe not even this season, that I can transfer 4 to 6 boats. I'm increasing that. I'm saying up to 6 boats, but four is actually needed. I have had a request from the person in the 5th position for something deeper. And I've not had anybody else on the docks volunteer to give up their deeper slips. So I'm asking the board for some help. These are slips that I have had money for a while, and I've rented them. And I've got 3 people, 3 of the 4 have not got their boats in the water yet because the water is too shallow for that. So I'm asking for some leniency. And I hope that somebody's gonna let some water into the lake. Because I've never seen it this low. At my home.
Here's I mean, I guess number one issue that comes to my mind is this isn't just a planning board issue. This is a Chapter 91 issue, isn't it? That's also a condition of Chapter 91.
It is not a Chapter 91 issue.
They didn't specify which side had to be which?
They absolutely did not. As a matter of fact, they told me that I could have up to 49 rental slips.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure that
The configuration is entirely up to me, but it's overridden by what you have told me to do.
No, that's fine. And the noise of the Chapter 91 application was getting to me, so I didn't follow it as closely as I
But also, I think that the
should
people
have.
who represented the town in that discussion and agreement did so with this set of facts.
Oh, and I'm,
right?
Yeah, we can get to that. I just wanted to see whether it was the Chapter 91 issue and really didn't even get to us. But assuming it gets to us, I mean, my memory, and other folks may have different opinions, but my memory is that that was a significant issue that was discussed. And so I find it's not a.
I'm sorry, I didn't follow.
The idea of where the temporary, or where the transient and where the rentals were, was a pretty significant part of the hearing and the decision. And so to alter that is not, in my mind, a minor modification. I think it would have to be submitted as a modification to that special permit.
With a
having gone through
reopening
that,
of the public hearing for public input regarding.
Correct. I can't see that was too hot button of a topic for that permit to say that change would be a minor modification. And I think, the other part of it, whether it is or isn't, to some degree, it's part of the business that you're in, which is you're dealing with the natural conditions. And so if they're not great one year, then they're not great one year.
The other people and the other boards that I think you're speaking about, actually, their appeal wanted the docks to be just the opposite. They wanted the rental docks to be on the left, and I reminded them that you, the planning board, wanted the docks on the right. I don't think that, I don't want to really prolong this thing for 2 months, but I'm pretty confident that nobody's going to have a problem with that. The 4 docks that I'm proposing are inside docks. So whether people are coming out of the transient dock area or coming out of the rental dock area, in between the 2 docks, the boats are going in and out the same place. Okay, I'm hearing you.
If you want to talk to them and you want to get support and you want to put it on for a modification in July, you probably have time to do the advertising to do that, but close. But it depends on when you did it.
If that's necessary, I won't even bother. I just, I can't believe the position that every board takes on every little decision. I get cover your ass. I'm in the world too. But okay, end of conversation. Once again, thanks a lot for your help in prolonging and delaying a very, very simple non-problem. I'm sure in a month from now, if I wanted to go through all the work and not be able to get the boaters in the water, that the approval would come without any question. But that's okay. Thank you for putting me in your schedule for this evening.
All right, do I hear Mr. Sullivan?
Make a motion to close the meeting.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay. Have a good night.